Welcome to our TV network, your ultimate destination for all things exciting and essential. From mouth-watering food to the latest in fashion, health, education, music, movies, and news, plus thrilling sports and breathtaking travel. Our TV network brings it all to you. Tune in today and experience the best of every world, all in one place, rtv.network.
Hello and welcome to the Connect Caribe Report here on Caribe Alliance Media, our TV network. We're back with another great episode lined up just for you. Today we are turning the attention to a regional issue as it relates to SMEs and their contribution to economic growth within the Caribbean. In last week's episode, the team looked at the matter of Caribbean economic diversification, opportunities, and challenges. And this week we turn our attention to the role of SMEs in Caribbean economic development, as small businesses play a critical role in contributing to the economies of the Caribbean. So coming up in Connect Caribbean World, we'll feature a video overview of how SMEs drive Caribbean growth. And later in the spotlight, we take a look at Jamaica's efforts on driving MSMEs, business growth and export. I'm Jennifer Hyland, your co-host for this week's episode. And today, taking a deep dive on this subject are my co-hosts, John Cadenin of the IC Group and Chris Principe, publisher of Financial IT. Through Connect Caribbean, we are bridging the islands, uniting communities, we're unlocking the new possibilities for the entire region. And so I want you to stay tuned as we dive into these stories and innovations that are shaping the Caribbean's bright future. Remember, this is your front row seat to the next wave of regional transformation we are covering here on Connect Caribbean Report. We'll be right back with a video presentation on how SMEs drive Caribbean growth in Connect Caribbean World right after these messages.
This is a Bloomberg Money Minute. President Trump says he is expecting to impose tariffs on imports of autos, semiconductors, and pharmaceuticals that will be somewhere in the neighborhood of 25%. He says he'll provide further details in April. The chair for supervision for the Federal Reserve, Michael Barr, says what makes artificial intelligence so attractive are the same attributes that present risk. He says the speed of its process and its ability to perform tasks without conscious thought pose new issues on a wide scale. Barr also expressed concerns that generative AI specifically could concentrate the risk and lead to market volatility. A lawyer representing about 20,000 women who claim Johnson & Johnson baby powder gave them cancer is urging a bankruptcy judge to approve the company's $9 billion settlement offer and end the years-long legal fight. He told the judge at the start of a 9-day trial many of his clients are passing away. I'm Nancy Lyons, Bloomberg Radio.
With the Bloomberg Business of Sports Report, I'm Michael Barr. One member of the women's volleyball team at San Jose State University is part of a lawsuit challenging the presence of transgender athletes in women's college sports. The person whose presence she's challenging is her teammate. At soccer games in Ukraine, crowd sizes are determined by the capacity of the nearest bomb shelter. For the first time since the full-scale war began in 2022, the Ukrainian Premier League is holding a full season with fans present as martial law bans on public gatherings have been eased. Dynamo Kyiv supporters eagerly snap up the 1,700 tickets available for each home game at the 16,000-seat stadium. Many fans are keen to experience a rare moment of calm. United Nations rights experts slammed decisions in France barring women and girls who wear the Muslim headscarf from sports competitions as discriminatory, demanding that they be reversed. With the Bloomberg Business of Sports Report.
Small and medium-sized enterprises, or SMEs, are the backbone of economies worldwide. These businesses, often family-owned or run by passionate entrepreneurs, play a pivotal role in the economic landscape. They are not just numbers on a balance sheet, they are the dreams and aspirations of individuals and communities. They represent 90% of businesses globally and are major job creators. In many regions, SMEs provide employment opportunities that sustain local economies and help reduce poverty. Their ability to adapt and innovate makes them resilient in the face of economic challenges. SMEs foster innovation, drive competition, and contribute significantly to economic growth and development. They are often at the forefront of new technologies and practices, pushing industries forward and setting trends that larger corporations follow. In the Caribbean, their role is even more crucial. The region's unique economic landscape relies heavily on the versatility and dynamism of SMEs. They provide essential goods and services that cater to both local and tourist demands. SMEs form the bedrock of the Caribbean economy. They are the lifeblood of small island communities, offering everything from fresh produce to innovative tech solutions. Their presence ensures economic stability and growth. They represent a diverse range of sectors, from tourism and agriculture to technology and services. This diversity is a strength, allowing the Caribbean economy to be more resilient and adaptable to global changes. Their impact extends beyond economic contributions. SMEs are often deeply involved in their communities, sponsoring local events, supporting charities, and fostering a sense of unity and purpose. SMEs are deeply intertwined with the social and cultural fabric of Caribbean societies. They preserve traditions, promote cultural heritage, and ensure that the unique identity of the Caribbean is celebrated and sustained for future generations. SMEs are vital for job creation in the Caribbean. They provide employment opportunities for a significant portion of the workforce. This is particularly important in a region with relatively high unemployment rates. By creating jobs, SMEs contribute to poverty reduction and improve living standards. They empower individuals and families, fostering economic independence and social mobility. SMEs are often at the forefront of innovation, bringing fresh ideas and approaches to the market. These small and medium-sized enterprises play a pivotal role in transforming industries with their unique solutions and creative thinking. They are agile and adaptable, allowing them to respond quickly to changing consumer demands and market trends. This flexibility enables them to pivot their strategies and operations efficiently, ensuring they stay relevant and competitive. This entrepreneurial spirit is crucial for driving economic diversification and resilience in the Caribbean. By fostering a culture of innovation, these businesses contribute significantly to the region's economic stability and growth. Governments and policymakers recognize the importance of fostering an enabling environment for SMEs to thrive. They understand that supporting these enterprises is key to sustainable development and long-term prosperity. This includes providing access to financing, streamlining business registration processes, and reducing bureaucratic hurdles that can impede growth. Additionally, offering targeted support programs, such as mentorship, training workshops, and networking opportunities, helps SMEs build capacity and scale their operations. These initiatives are essential for nurturing the next generation of business leaders and innovators in the Caribbean. Section 4. Community Champions. SMEs are deeply embedded in local communities. They often source their raw materials and labor locally, keeping money circulating within the Caribbean economy. This strengthens local supply chains and promotes sustainable economic growth. Beyond their economic impact, SMEs are known for their social responsibility. They often support local initiatives, sponsor community events, and contribute to the overall well-being of their communities. This fosters a sense of shared prosperity and social cohesion. Section 5. Navigating the Caribbean business landscape. Operating in the Caribbean presents unique challenges for SMEs. The region's diverse cultures and languages can make it difficult to establish a unified business strategy. Additionally, the regulatory environment varies significantly from one island to another, requiring businesses to adapt quickly and efficiently. Limited access to finance is a major obstacle. Many small and medium-sized enterprises struggle to secure loans and investment, which are crucial for expansion and innovation. This financial constraint often forces businesses to rely on personal savings or informal lending networks. High operating costs, including the cost of electricity and transportation, can also hinder growth. The Caribbean's reliance on imported goods and energy means that businesses face higher expenses compared to other regions. These costs can be particularly burdensome for startups and small enterprises. The relatively small size of Caribbean markets can limit economies of scale. This makes it challenging for businesses to achieve the efficiencies and cost savings that larger markets can offer. As a result, many companies must find creative ways to maximize their resources and reach. Despite these challenges, Caribbean SMEs demonstrate remarkable resilience and ingenuity. They often turn to innovative solutions and collaborative efforts to navigate the complex business landscape. By leveraging technology and forming strategic partnerships, these businesses can overcome many of the obstacles they face. They leverage their local knowledge, entrepreneurial spirit, and strong community ties to overcome obstacles and achieve success. The sense of community and mutual support is a significant asset, enabling businesses to thrive even in the face of adversity. This collaborative spirit is a cornerstone of the Caribbean business environment.
Well, that video gave a good overview of the challenges, opportunities that are presented here in the Caribbean. And so it covered, some vital areas: job creation, SMEs at the forefront of innovation, about bringing fresh ideas and approaches to the market, and how operating in the Caribbean, presents challenges, as I mentioned. So coming up on Connecting the Dots, our hosts, John and Chris, take a deep dive into these and other key issues. And obviously, we're looking forward to hearing their contribution and perspective as the experts in this area. And so we'll be right back after these messages with Chris and John in Connecting the Dots.
With the Bloomberg Small Business Report, I'm Tracy Jonke, brought to you by Fidelity Wealth Management. The American Institute of CPAs is asking the congressional tax writing committees to broaden a deduction used by many small businesses. The GOP's 2017 tax law created a 20% qualified business income deduction for partnerships and other pass-through entities. But the income threshold is capped for some service businesses, such as accounting firms. The CPAs argue it's an equity issue. The current setup charges businesses of similar incomes at different rates. The group is not the only one lobbying Congress about this provision of the 2017 law. The National Federation of Independent Business flew a bunch of small business owners to Washington last week to press not for an expansion of the 20% deduction, but to lobby for its continued existence. It expires at the end of the year unless lawmakers move to extend it. And that's the Bloomberg Small Business.
This is the Bloomberg Real Estate Report, brought to you by Fidelity.com. When people search for homes, what are they looking for in California and across the country? Here's what they apparently enter in the search bar on Zillow, according to Amanda Pendleton, home trends expert at Zillow.
We found that the most popular search term nationwide was ranch or ranch-style homes.
Ranch-style homes. That's not so surprising, popular especially among older people, but also great for younger families, right? So what else do people search for when they're looking for a place?
A lot of unique searches, too, for things like party barns and haunted houses and burned dominiums.
Party barns come in handy. If you have a big one on your property, you can host a nice party. Barn dominiums are condos made from old barns. Haunted houses, though?
Of course, unique homes have been going viral lately, and I think that's allowed people to really reimagine what a home could be.
And that's the Bloomberg Real Estate Report.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Connecting the Dots, where we'll be speaking this afternoon as SMEs are the backbone of the Caribbean economy, and they comprise over 70% of businesses and contributing significantly to the GDP and employment in the area. Their role extends across various industries, including tourism, agriculture, manufacturing, and technology. Some of the key contributors to the Caribbean economy in general are employment generation. SMEs provide jobs for a large percentage of the workforce, particularly in informal and rural economies where large corporations are scarce here in the Caribbean. Economic diversification. SMEs help reduce reliance on traditional industries like tourism and offshore banking, fostering growth in areas such as renewable energy, creative industries, and agribusiness. Innovation and entrepreneurship. Many SMEs, as we look to connect the dots here, are key players and introduce innovative business models and leverage digital technology and local resources to create competitive products and services. And then finally, in connecting the dots, we'll look at regional trade integration. SMEs are key players in interregional trade within CARICOM, taking advantage of trade agreements like the CARICOM Single Market and Economy, CSME, and also Steady Case initiatives in the USVI working with Caribe are creating the trade infrastructure to support a single economy for the region. And so one of the key things that we look at are how do we look at the fintech areas of this. And so I'm going to now turn some of this over to Chris Principe, who's the publisher of Financial IT Media. And we'll look at the limited access to finance that SMEs have as they secure financing and struggle due to high collateral requirements, risk-averse banking policies, and underdeveloped capital markets. Chris? Can't hear you, sir. Mute. We're working on getting Chris unmuted. And so Chris, you need to unmute. And so I think, well, knowing Chris well, some of the things that I'm sure he'll bring up are the high interest rates and limited access to microloans, making it difficult for SMEs to expand. Many of the SMEs lack the proper financial literacy and credit history, preventing them from securing loans. And Chris, are we back? I'm not hearing Chris. So let's talk about some of the other connecting the dots hurdles that we see. And there are some bureaucratic and regulatory hurdles as well. The complex business registration process, high tax burdens and excessive licensing requirements discourage formalization. In some CARICOM nations, the ease of doing business is a problem, and it remains low due to slow bureaucratic procedures. Cross-border trade within the region is also impeded by inconsistent regulatory frameworks and customs inefficiencies. Another dot that we have to connect as we bring these things together is the inadequate infrastructure and high operational costs of SMEs. Unreliable electricity, poor transportation, networks, and slow internet connectivity drive up the business costs for SMEs. Dependence on imported goods and fluctuating fuel prices increases the operational expenses. So when we look at climate change, natural disasters, they pose risks to the physical infrastructure and supply chains, particularly for agricultural-based SMEs. We also have something to discuss in the nature of skills and talent gaps. Many SMEs struggle in finding skilled labor due to immigration, weak educational and industry alignment, limited vocational training. Entrepreneurs often lack digital skills in reducing their ability to compete in e-commerce and these fine fintech sectors that Chris is well aware of. So I'll try again with Chris. Are we ready? So we see the best part of Chris, which is his smiling face and beard, but we're still not hearing Chris. So I'll continue and look at the combined effect of these challenges limits SMEs' ability to scale and compete globally. And as we address these issues, is critical for fostering a more resilient and inclusive economic environment. So there are many things that we need to look at as we look and try to figure out how do we connect all of these dots and figure out how SMEs can be part of the infrastructure that we are looking to create here in Connect the Caribe. So Chris is one of the principal people and publishes this financial sector report, trying to figure out how do we get more access to capital and how do we improve the Caribbean economy. If we look at the access to credit, for example, what we have is the Caribbean Development Bank has SME loans. The CDB has introduced microfinance and SME loan programs to improve access to capital. We have the Inter-American Development Bank, the IDB initiatives that help us create and connect the dots. They are funded projects to modernize the SME financing, particularly in Puerto Rico and the U.S. Virgin Islands. There are various government grant programs that CARICOM sponsors. Some nations, such as Jamaica and Barbados, provide tax incentives and seed funding for startups. There's a credit guarantee scheme where programs like Jamaica's Credit Enhancement Facility provides guarantees to banks and lending to SMEs. Business and training mentorship. The Caribbean Center for Development Administration, CARICAD, offers training in business development and leadership. The University of West Indies, UWI, has technical institutes providing entrepreneurial education. Public-private partnerships with organizations like Startup Caribbean and entrepreneurs across borders offer mentorship and networking. So the last part I'd like to talk about in connecting the dots is the digital transformation and innovation. E-commerce platforms, initiatives like Jamaica's eGov platform and Trinidad's Business Facilitation Gateway aim to streamline online transactions for SMEs. We have tech hubs and incubators. We're locating right now. I'm in a Frederiksted hub, which is a tech hub here in St. Croix in the U.S. Virgin Islands. We have innovations and initiatives such as Barbados has the BIDC Innovation Hub. Puerto Rico's Parallel 18 Startup Accelerator supports digital entrepreneurship. Renewable energy programs, the SMEs are increasingly adopting solar energy solutions to cut costs and enhance sustainability. So we also have across the Caribbean what we would call policy and regulatory reforms. And such as we look at those things, of course, the big elephant in the room is the GOP of the United States. And as we look at the CARICOM and St. Croix in particular, part of the third border. And when we look at that policy, CARICOM's Small Business Development Act seeks to standardize business regulations across the region. So the U.S. and VI have introduced economic opportunity zones and tax incentives to attract investments in local SMEs. So together, as we connect these dots, and I see Jennifer's back with us, there are many things that we can do as we look at enhancing this process and enabling people to join us as we seek to enhance the economic development of the region. Jennifer?
John, for that overview. But I have one quick question. Maybe if Chris Blake is on, he can answer this before we get to it. with the CARICOM have made the movement of people in recent news. They want to move it beyond some key areas. I think the Prime Minister of Dominica is asking for a full clearance of all people in the Caribbean. So that has significant opportunity and implications for small businesses, even the micro businesses. And so I know you mentioned a whole myriad of things, there are opportunities, but with this movement of people, what is one key thing then that you think that from the entrepreneurship side that they should now be positioning themselves based on the list of things that you went through? I mean, that's from the regulatory side and the challenges, but the opportunities for businesses now to start businesses in other islands. What is your view on that? If Chris's mic is on, he can ask that question, but we only have, I'll give you a minute, Chris, and we can come back and expand in connecting the dots. And sorry, connected voices a little later on.
Chris, are we there? I think perhaps we're frozen, but I think in general, I think when we look at the workforce and the I guess the ability for our Caribbean nations to work together, particularly here in the U.S. Virgin Islands, we have some $20 billion of FEMA money that we have as we recover from the hurricanes, Irma and Maria. And we have a deficiency. Our governor has identified 5,000 workers that we need to come here to the United States. So immediately after the hurricanes Irma and Maria, we had the STEP program, and we had people coming from the states in Alabama, Mississippi, Florida, Georgia to come and help us. I think the opportunity is that if we can understand our separate customs and border protection and look at with that separate customs, we can look at the different visa programs we have to bring people in the Caribbean. So last week, Attorney Williams, who's joined our team, talked about the different EB-5 programs and different visas that are available. And I think that's what it's up to us to figure out, how do we actually have a workforce that can go island to island and assist each other.
Great. Thank you very much, John, for that little bit of information. If you want to recap, you can go back and watch that very informative episode from last week with respect to the visas and movement of people from the USVI and the rest of the Caribbean. But stay tuned, we'll be right back with our special feature on In the Spotlight with Jamaica's efforts on driving SMEs, business growth and export. We'll be right back after these messages.
This is the Bloomberg Green Report. Two facts about air travel have environmentalists worried. Global air travel surged to record levels last year, and airlines are using much less sustainable jet fuel than expected. Experts say this is a dire combination in the effort to counteract climate change. Most carriers have said they would address their growing contribution to greenhouse gas emissions by using more fuels derived from lower emitting sources like used cooking oil or energy crops. Several airlines, including Delta, Air France, KLM, and Cathay Pacific, have promised to consume 10% sustainable aviation fuel, or SAF, by 2030. So far, adoption of cleaner fuels has been slow. The International Air Transport Association says air travel jumped 10% in 2024, 4% above pre-pandemic levels, but SAF only accounted for about 0.3% of commercial aviation's fuel consumption. Jeff Bellinger, Bloomberg Radio.
Travel Share. It Marketplace is an innovative, dynamic, user-friendly, and fully comprehensive global travel marketplace, featuring all Caribbean islands as a premier destinations. Travel Share. It Marketplace featured daily travel news, arts, culture, events, travel weather news, individuals' remote work, flex time, paid time off, family leisure time, and travel deals to better connect the U.S., Caribbean, and the Americas worldwide. So no matter where you want to travel in the world for work or leisure, working remotely or on vacation by yourself, with friends or family, whether by air or sea, Travel Share. It Marketplace makes it easy to get you to your destination. Book now at www.travelshare.com.
Welcome back to Connect Caribbean Report, and you are in the spotlight. And we're focusing on Jamaica's efforts. Jamaica's efforts on driving MSMEs, business growth and export is well known in the Caribbean, having produced companies such as Grace Kennedy Foods and Lasco Manufacturing Limited, to name a couple, which are recognized and distributed internationally. We'll also get both John, hopefully, and Chris can join us, perspective and connected voices, because John, who's a global supply chain logistics and distribution international productivity expert, and Chris Principe, an international trade consultant, exporter, financial solutions provider for over 30 years in sales, development and delivery of products, cash management and payments, foreign exchange, and open account processing. They're the perfect duo to speak further on the importance of SMEs in today's economic climate. So at this time, I want to play a video by Jamaica Information Service on Jamaica's efforts when it comes to small, medium-sized enterprises.
Micro, small, and medium-sized enterprises, MSMEs, have a key role in Jamaica's sustainable economic development and growth. By their sheer numbers and mean income from exports, these entities could substantially cut or eliminate the country's trade deficit and significantly boost GDP. The Ministry of Industry, Investment and Commerce is on a mission to get more MSMEs to export and earn bigger profits from larger markets as it seeks to unleash the significant wealth creation potential of this sector. Through its MSME Roadshow initiative, the ministry is taking its services to these businesses to get them ready, set, and into the export market. The roadshow is being initiated in partnership with the Inter-American Development Bank, the IDB.
IDB is really happy to partner with the ministry on this initiative, for we are committed to promoting and providing support to private sector growth in Jamaica.
Through 4 initial roadshow stagings, with the first held in Mandeville, MSME operators have been getting information on business development support, government incentives, and export opportunities. The events are also providing a space to create new linkages, networking, and business partnerships with a large gathering of public and private entities.
Every single entrepreneur must understand that we must export. I'm encouraging you to make things that Jamaican people will eat and buy, but you must lift your mind to a place where you're exporting.
Though small, the multipliable effect of their employment and income generation is huge. The MSME sector in Jamaica numbers over 400,000 entities. These account for 34% of the employed labor force, and it's estimated that tax-paying MSMEs account for 97% of all classified and registered enterprises in Jamaica.
The MSME sector is a vital driving force that is propelling the creation of jobs and growth in Jamaica's economy. It is vital. All these small businesses, some of them hire 3 people, some hire 10, some can hire 25, some will hire 12. Every single job is vital, important to this country.
And I like to say simply, if every MSME, through additional work and support, employs 1 person or 1 more person, we are talking about growing the employed labor force in Jamaica by over 400,000 people. If we got 25% of all MSMEs to export $1,000 a month, that's $12,000 a year. If my calculation is correct, we would be talking about $1 billion of export.
Operating commercially and in the global space requires formalization and adherence to standards which the ministry is offering businesses. And so the road shows include a business pitch competition, business forum, an expo, and presentations to provide information on services being offered to the MSME sector. Also, for greater efficiency and ease of trade, the ministry is supporting digitization of businesses and their access to affordable financing.
Together with our esteemed partners from the Inter-American Development Bank, we embark on a journey to empower our MSMEs. The Business Roadshow serves as a platform for knowledge exchange, networking, and inspiration, fostering an environment where these businesses can not only survive, but they will thrive. We need to inspire each other. We need to hear from each other. What are you doing? Are you making BAMIs bigger size, smaller size? Are you making stuff in sources that you're looking to export?
Growing the country's per capita income in line with that of rich nations by producing and selling more goods and services to the point of sustained trade surplus is reason enough every Jamaican in business needs to get into the act of exporting where possible.
Now suppose we get 50%. If we get 50%, that cuts off about half of the negative trade balance that we had in 2021.
For the benefit of tipping the trade scale in Jamaica's favor, the government is assuring small businesses of all the help they need to grow.
I talk about JAMPRO and who else can help them. JBDC is vital to MSMEs on the ground. So because they hold your hand, they show you how to do a business plan sometime, how to make your business better, how to register your business. The Companies Office of Jamaica, one of the 20 agencies of the Ministry of Industry, Investment and Commerce, is a crucial agency that assists MSMEs in becoming export ready. What do we mean by that? The Company Office of Jamaica helps to register and regulate businesses, ensuring companies are credible when conducting business transactions globally.
MSMEs are encouraged to use the benefits provided by the ministry, including productive inputs relief and import duty and income tax relief for the importation of equipment or raw materials.
Go look for good equipment, import it, make sure you talk to the ministry and say, you have a plan. When we agree with your plan, Exim Bank is there to help you. With such targeted support, we are committed to strengthening these engines of innovation and chart a course toward shared prosperity.
Realizing our potential to become a rich nation means selling not only to 3 million Jamaicans at home, but also to consumers around the world. Are you ready?
That was a really great 7 minutes of what Jamaica is doing there in the islands among themselves to ensure that their companies are export ready and facilitating the environment for SMEs and MSMEs to grow. And I really want to bring in John and Chris back to Connected Voices. I hope Chris is up and running, because I would love to get your, you mentioned a number of things, John, in connecting the dots, and I can see how they're being applied here during the video that was just shown with the efforts made by Jamaica. And so I want to get your, so that you can have a discussion. Chris can definitely add to the areas that he was unable to in connecting the dots. So over to you. Really want to hear your perspective, both of you as experts that you are.
Okay, great.
With
yeah, Chris, are you with us? Well, it looks
Chris,
like this is still
the internet gods are not in alignment with Chris today.
So Chris, just chip in when you can. So
go ahead, John.
Yeah. As we look at the connected voices, one of the things that I was privileged to do, as Jennifer says, that Chris and I are experts on supply chains and things like that. Some 20 years ago, I was part of, while I was on the faculty at Harvard Business School, the National Resource Council, Research Council, formed a committee on supply chain, and we developed a book. And it was about how small and medium-sized manufacturers will survive in the 21st century. So this was published right at the turn of the century. And these insights that we had in this book, surviving supply chains in the 21st century, really have some particularly relevant themes for the Caribbean. And I think one of the things that was highlighted when we talked and listened to the film we just saw in Jamaica are identifying regional suppliers to reduce the reliance on imports from out of the region, improving the supplier communications and contract negotiations, adopting simple inventory tracking tools for better stock management, using third-party logistics providers to reduce shipping in the Caribbean. And as we look with Connect Caribbean, looking at these bareboat services that will move our people and products regionally for each other. So then there's some longer-term strategies of investing in our own digital supply chain platforms for visibility and efficiency. So the things that Jamaica was talking about with just a percentage of understanding how that can look at that trade deficit just by small percentages from all of us, advocating for better inter-island trade policies. And those policies will help with what we're trying to do with the ferry boat service and the movement of people, to have those government policies enacting so that we really have a robust region. And these public-private partnerships, such as was identified by Governor Bryant when he had this signing of the MOU in October, talking about how the private sector can work with the government to do that. So we have these key kinds of things that connect us. So in the video, we talked about Jamaica. But in Puerto Rico, we have PANCA, which is an agribusiness and sustainability product, where Puerto Rican startups are using aquaponics to produce organic food with recycled water systems, reducing the dependencies on imported products. The Beige Clean in Barbados, the eco-friendly manufacturing. This is a green startup producing biodegradable packaging from local plant fibers and expands into international markets and the global push for what we call sustainability. One-on-one educational services in Jamaica with digital innovation. There's a Jamaican EdTech startup providing online learning solutions, expanding across the Caribbean with funding from venture capital firms. Here in St. Croix, we have Sager Farms with Mr. Brown, and they have entrepreneurship in agriculture. And Mr. Brown is a family-owned business that overcame supply chain disruptions by implementing smart farming techniques, and he's now a leading supplier of produce. We have Caribbean Pay in St. Kitts and Nevis, which is a fintech disruptor. A digital payments platform facilitates cashless transactions for Caribbean businesses, reducing the reliance on traditional banking systems. So this fintech that Chris always talks about in the shows, about how our banking system can go to these mobile platforms, and he travels around the world looking at innovative solutions that we can employ here. So the conclusion in how we look at connecting the voices is strengthening the SMEs for sustainable Caribbean future. And so the SMEs remain a vital pillar of economic development in CARICOM nations. The resilience, adaptability, contributions to job creation make SMEs indispensable for sustainable growth in the region. However, overcoming these barriers, such as limited financing, regulatory inefficiencies, infrastructure gaps, require coordinated efforts from governments, financial institutions, and private sector stakeholders. So I have some final recommendations, but Jennifer, are there thoughts as we looked at these community connecting voices?
Yeah, definitely. I'm hearing you loud, and definitely all of these key areas are very important. But I'm sitting in as if I am, entrepreneur and I already have a business, manufacturing. And I think one of the major challenges for small businesses is the investment aspect and getting money to upscale and really improve their products and so forth to make them market ready. We're not even getting to the point of export because there's so many micro businesses with great ideas, but they don't have the backing and the access that they need to upscale or even go to another level to ensure that they meet these regulations and requirements. And so, sitting from your experience as a lecturer, supply chain management, for entrepreneurs listening, those who, because at the end of the day, small businesses really are the economies. But there's a lot of frustration. When we started this production, this show, we featured some businesses in St. Lucia and Grenada that were having challenges with moving their products, and then they're had to stop their businesses for a number of reasons. And that obviously is the trade aspect. But for those who have businesses that want to move to another level, are finding it hard for the banking system to believe in what they're seeking to do. I know there are angel investors and all of these funds. I know this is something that Chris would really love to speak to, but for someone who's listening that's frustrated that they have a good idea, they have a good product, but the ecosystem is not there, backing them in the way that we hear on platforms, whether it's ministers of finance, private sector, banking. When they actually go to these institutions, it's not favorable. And a lot of great ideas are dying or are just being rest on the shelf for lack of financing, which really is the key tool to really make them move from to another stage. So what would you say from your experience to someone that's listening and to investors? What really is the key thing that we need to do here in the Caribbean?
Yeah, thank you for that, Jennifer. And let me try one last time. Chris, I see your microphone is on mute. Do you want to try one more time? And we'll see if we can get you in here, or that may not work. So, okay. So we see your smile, so we'll go with that. But answering Jennifer,
maybe Chris, you can just type your things, and maybe we can share your thoughts if you can.
If you put it in the chat, if there's something salient that you want to do, then I can relate that to our listening audience. But I think from Jennifer, what you were speaking about, and I'll focus there. But there's generally, I think, 5 policy kinds of decisions that we can look at in the Caribbean. And the first one is this expanding credit access. Okay, so funding comes from different kinds of sources, so that you have people that will invest equity and people that will actually take loans, if you will, which is really credit access. And I think for SMEs, obviously, venture capital is a big risk, because you lose the control, but you gain so much experience of the venture capital team that will come in. But in the long term, they're looking to expand the business, and it may not be yours at the end of that. And what we're trying to do is encourage local ownership. So if we look at these grant programs and different ways of having access and how we grow slowly, we can strengthen the regional financial institutions to provide lower interest loans tailored for SMEs. So right now we're in a banking desert, okay? And it's how do we look at that desert that we have and take the things that Chris wanted to talk about on the convergence of the physical supply chain and the financial supply chain. So when we look at supply chains in general, there's 3 things to consider. It's the physical movement of the product, it's the financial ability to support that supply chain and transfers like SWIFT transfers and different money across different currencies, and factoring and forfeiting and counter trade that has to do with the money. And then the last is the movement of information. So when we look at the key policy infrastructure, we need to improve the digital infrastructure, because if we invest in affordable broadband and e-commerce solutions, those solutions will incorporate the financial aspects of how the money gets transferred in these documents and things that are increasingly being done with MDA advice, our smartphones, okay? And a platform can combine and manage the money to inject at the right time and bridge this gap. And so in order to do that, of course, Jennifer, we're going to have to reduce these bureaucratic barriers, okay? It's basically simplifying business registration, cross-border trade practices. How do we actually work together as a region, like they do with the BRIC nations, what they're doing in the European market? There's ASEAN. They all have groups that work together as a region. So that's what we're lacking. We have these physical structures such as CARICOM, but we're not actually working together to do that. And so we need, finally, what I want to talk about is the enhancing the entrepreneurial education. All of these things that we're talking about, we have to get that and foster a university industry partnership, increasing the digital literacy programs that tie to what Chris is saying, that people just need to know. If they make a good product and they're a good manufacturer or a good farmer, that doesn't mean that they can actually get it to market. So we have to support these resilient business models and incentivize sustainable practices for the climate adaptation strategy.
Yeah, and what's going on in my mind now as we're thinking, because for all of these things to be implemented, it takes time, obviously, with the bureaucratic and red tape, and a lot of these things are not standardized from one island to the next. But I think that there's really a great opportunity for the e-commerce component of Connect Caribbean Ferry Service, where we have the e-shops, and we are really targeting the micro businesses. And so, the opportunity for small businesses to trade among themselves using the e-commerce platform, the e-shop platform for Connect Ferry Service, will even help them to invest in their business and upscale until such times as these issues that we spoke about come on stream. And I think that that may be an immediate solution for persons to take the efforts into their own hands. And when Connect Caribbean Ferry Service comes on stream, definitely they'll learn more about the e-commerce component, and that they can trade among themselves, the cottage industries and micro businesses and small businesses. And as I say, use that the funds that they've received to scale up and reinvest in themselves and bring themselves to a level that the banks and angel investors and all of those persons that they need to fix and to make themselves more investable, if that's the word. So that's my take, and I think that is something that can happen in the immediate future. But I hope that, and I believe next week we're focusing on the agri component. So I believe, obviously, Chris, this still has valid contribution that you wanted to make today in that program coming up next week. But unfortunately, the time is out, and we'll just go to commercial break and wrap it up. Thank you very much for being with us here on Connect Caribbean Report. We'll see you next week.
Reimagine a world where the Caribbean is seamlessly connected, where our people, our cultures, and our economies move freely across the islands. This is Connect Caribbean, more than a ferry service. It's the heartbeat of a new era, an era where economic opportunities expand, where trade flows freely across our seas, and cultural exchange flourishes. We are linking businesses, empowering communities, and reigniting the hope for a truly integrated Caribbean. Together, we're shaping a brighter, more unified future for the Caribbean. Connect Caribbean, connecting our islands, our people, our future.